FM 92.7.
Good evening, welcome. This is the 6th March edition of Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. This evening, documents or dismissal. Thousands of Ghana Education Service staff scrambled to beat March 14 payroll audit deadline. This evening, we seek expert views and opinions plus reactions from the various teacher unions. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We've got details for you. Also, Ashanti Regional Minister demands crackdown on illegal explosives after Konongo blast kills 3 and injures some firefighters. We're there live. We'll be talking to the fire service as well to give us an update on what is happening as we speak. Also, this evening, mixed reactions greet modest celebration of 68th Independence Day anniversary. All these in the next 30 minutes here on Hot Edition. This is the Independent 6th March edition of Hot Edition. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Let's get into the details now. And the Ghana Education Service is ordering immediate validation for thousands of staff whose appointments were recently revoked in a letter dated March 5, 2025 and signed by Acting Director General Professor Ernest Kofi Davis. The GES noted that this move is part of an effort to clean up the GES's payroll database. Affected employees must submit key documents, including appointment letters, academic certificates, and national service records by March 14 to reinstate their jobs. Also, a regional committee of human resource audit and accounting officers will oversee the verification. This comes after a February 17th directive to streamline the payroll system. The GES is urging full cooperation to meet the time as communicated. Let's get on to the telephone lines now. And Ayikwe Adokoi Awule is Vice President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT. They've been reacting to this as well. I'll get him on the telephone shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And I would like, can you hear me? Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to all your listeners.
Great. Now, first off, I want to find out from you if all your members have also gotten notice of this communication from the GES for the validation exercise, especially those who are affected by that directive, to have some persons laid off between, that's those who were recruited between December 7 and now.
Thank you very much. Yes, we've notified those who have been affected, but let me lay this background. The directive given by the new Director General of GES was that those who were recruited way back October 2024 and have not been put on skill, that is, they've not started receiving salaries, their services were withdrawn. So ours wasn't from 7th December 2024, but it was rather from October 2024. So that was what we fought. And now there's a new directive that those people who are employed and have not been put on skill to go through validation, so that at the end of the day, they are validated and their names are in the Ghana Education Service system, then their salaries will be paid and then they will be asked to continue their work.
I see. So this goes beyond that deadline of the December 7th, that which came from the Chief of Staff earlier.
Yes, the Chief of Staff gave a directive from December 7th, but we don't know why for Ghana Education Service, that directive went as far back as October 2024.
And is this a question that you intend to seek some answers to?
We have already sought answers to that, and that is why yesterday we had a meeting, our leadership had a meeting with the Director General as well as the Minister for Education, and that is why this reversal, or let me say this statement is now out for the validation to take place.
Okay, so what's to mean is that the clarification that you got from the GS Director General, it satisfies you. You're okay with it? That
we are okay with it. That because at the end of the day, there were even those who were recruited from colleges of education, and we know colleges of education, their recruitment is automatic, but we have majority of them who have not yet received their salaries. So if you say from October, if you have not been put on scale, your appointment is revoked. At the end of the day, even those from colleges of education, about half of them, that is about 8,000 of them, their appointments have been revoked, and it is not good. It is not clear. So at the end of the day, we have to hold discussions with the Ministry and Ghana Education Service. And then we have come up with this statement. At the end of the day, they are supposed to visit their various regional HR departments. So their letters will be validated, and then that will be it.
I see. Any indication of some difficulty on the part of your members to produce the needed documents?
The only difficulty would be commuting from wherever they've been posted to the regional capital, that is the Ghana Education Service regional capital headquarters, to go and see the Human Resource Department for validation. That is the most difficult thing that they ought to do, because most of them, or all of them, have not been put on salaries. But it is a form of sacrifice. At the end of the day, they want to be paid. They've started working. So we are urging them to ensure that they sacrifice within this short time, so that by 14th of March, they should have gone through the validation, because they already have their appointment letters. If you don't have an appointment letter, then why are you even in the classroom teaching? But they all have their appointment letters. And then they should present them at the Human Resource Department of the various regional GS offices for validation, and that will be it.
I see, but then that challenge leads me to my next question. The issue of travel, because of where they are. Is the 2-week window realistic for staff, in these hard-to-reach communities to commute?
It is not even 2 weeks. It is just about 1 week. It is just about 1 week, but we are looking at it. You have the whole of next week, about from Monday to Thursday, to do that. We are looking at it. If it happens that we receive reports that some have not been able to, because some might not even see this letter, because maybe there are some teachers who are teaching in some remote areas where they don't even have a television. They are not on social media. They are not on Facebook. So it will take time for them to even receive such information that they need to go through validation. So if the need arises that we should call for an extension, we will do that.
And I wanted to hold on a bit for me, sir. And I have Dr. Peter Patianti on the other line, Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, one of the foremost CSOs in education space we have in this country. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
Now, you've been listening to the Vice President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers there outlining their concerns about this validation exercise. But from where you sit, how crucial or critical is this validation exercise to resolve the myriad of issues that the GS has outlined?
Well, in the first place, I think that this should have been an approach that the Ministry and the Ghana Education Service should have adopted. You don't issue a blanket statement asking that teachers that have been recruited should be taken off the classroom. So I think this is where we should have started from. If you have challenges with the recruitment process, what you do is to validate. Let the people who have been recruited come and then submit their documents for you to go through to see whether everything is intact and that they are qualified for what they have been appointed to do. So that is a sure way to go, and I think we going forward we should not experience this kind of situation again.
I see. So the consultation with the unions should have taken place before the directive or this statement was issued.
Yeah, Yes, not even a consultation. I mean, if the Ghana Education Service felt that they needed to check the recruitment of certain staff, the first thing that they should have done was to have called for a validation of those who have been employed within that period that they are worried about. I think that should have been the first step, and so that they are able to submit their documents, and then you take them through the process of validation. You will know those who truly qualify to be appointed and those who do not qualify. You wouldn't even have to then meet the teacher unions for anything, because you are doing a professional activity to ensure that the requisite, I mean the caliber of people that are going to the classroom are those who are fit for purpose. So this should have been the first step for them to take. But because they issued that statement asking all those teachers to withdraw from the classroom, that is why the teacher unions consultation became necessary. But if this was a letter that they issued, I think that even the teacher unions would not have had any problem with it.
See, but then the exercise itself, the intent and objective of it, is it one that you align with as communicated by the GES?
Yes, sure. I think that people have been recruited. There's a new administration in place. They are not sure of the whole recruitment process and whether these people went through the right channel to be appointed to go and teach. So what you do is that you call for a validation of these people that have been recruited, and then you walk them through the processes to check their documents. You know that in Ghana, it's now difficult for you to secure an appointment if you do not have a teacher's license. It means that you might have sat for the licensure exams and passed. So all those things need to be checked before appointments are given. And if the current administration feels that there might be some issues with the appointment of some of these people, the right thing to do is to do the validation which they have or they are calling for now. And I'm saying that this should have been the approach to those who have been, those who were recruited during the previous government era, rather than asking them to vacate the classroom just like that.
I see. One of the concerns that the Coalition of Concerned Teachers raised is that the period of recruitment that this directive covers is not just after the elections. It's not peculiar or pertaining to what the Chief of Staff asked that be done between December 7 and now, the recruitment that had been made. This goes beyond that into sometime in October. How does that strike you?
Well, I think that the indication was those who have not been placed on the Controller and Accountant General's pay system, payroll. Those were those that they were dealing with, and I think that is why it might go beyond go as far back as October, because the system is designed in such a way that sometimes it takes like 3 months before one is captured by the payroll system. So if you were employed around October, November, it's likely that you will not be on the payroll, and as such you will be affected by the directive that was initially issued. So if you have worked, I think that they would have to give you, they will pay you, but then they want to verify whether truly you possess the requisite qualification to be employed into the teaching field. And I advise all teachers who were affected by the initial communication to avail themselves for the validation process to take place, so that they can go back to the classroom and teach when the authorities are satisfied with the documents that they possess.
I appreciate your time. And Zola, before I let you go, from the Coalition of Concerned Teachers' perspective, are you looking at further engagement with the GS and the ministry on this, especially on the matter of the period, that 1 week period that has been communicated?
Thank you. I think we started this engagement way back when the directive was issued for the appointment to be revoked, and this is where we've got into. We will not stop our engagement with Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Education. We will still continue, and if it happens that there is a need for an extension, we will call for it. I think we've been very diplomatic. We have been working behind closed doors, and we've been very effective, and we will continue doing that.
And I do appreciate your time. Thank you. We're going to be talking some more. Thank you so much. That's the Vice President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana, Ayikoi Adokoi Awule. There also you heard Dr. Peter Patianti is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST, also joining us on this. There's going to be a conversation on this in the coming days, especially because of the period that has been given to the teachers to gather the documentation needed by the GES. Away from that, let's go straight to the Ashanti region. It's a story we've been following since last night when we broke it on Ghana. Tonight, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amakohe, has ordered the immediate arrest of individuals illegally selling mining explosives following a catastrophic fire in Konogo, Dumasi, that killed 3 and injured dozens, including some firefighters. The blaze erupted on March 5, that's yesterday, at an explosives shop operating unlawfully in the town center, exposing long ignored safety risks. The inferno began around 7 p.m. in a densely populated area of Konongo, Dumasi, a historic mining town. Flames engulfed multiple buildings, tearing off roofs, cracking walls, and destroying shops. 3 residents died in the chaos, while injured persons and survivors as well are receiving treatment, including some 5 firefighters were rushed to the Asante Central Municipal Hospital. Residents say they have reportedly flagged risks, but no action was taken until the tragedy struck. A resident, Osman Isaka, who lost his home, has been speaking to my colleague in that area. Let's take a listen to him.
Baby, I'm opposite store bi on mountain ton galamse ho ne o mai bia wonu na me hu se ejane eden eda intina ejane de na hu pa de wi na edere no na hu tina se achiri ne ate se blasting ho ne o man so ho ntino first one to e te no de wi to e no so na hu te ma yenyina edwane frifi ti dan tam na ye fro fire service for no mo ba be dru ye na ye follow o mo akire o mo direction ni no tino ase ekwan ni mu no yan ben ejane kakra tie gina achiri tino achiri onum na ne won na blasting foforo esa to aso ntia no na ekan ye ende na no ede ne pa te ne de me pempem fom pa tino me sor bia na me to fom 3 times yansa na mi furu onum enwere ofom meduru ekwan no de na mu janyu no me pa tino na ama mani so brim tiansa yedim ba bedu anum na mu se bibia ye de ayo okay kakra me ba first ne de na pin na me fam de na no de ne asese de bibia ye kama ni nyina akofom.
As one of the residents who's lost his home as we speak, Ibrahim Abubakar has been in the area interacting with the residents and also telling us some details of the extent of the damage caused by this fire outbreak. Ibrahim, appreciate you joining us. What's the latest with respect to this fire that destroyed, we understand, some shops and buildings last night?
Well, Alfred, so the Ashanti Regional Minister has led the Regional Security Council to the place just to assess the extent of damage and also continue with the investigation. According to the residents, this happened as a result of explosion because like what the victim was saying, he stays just directly opposite where the explosive shops are. And even they had to go and call the fire service. He was even standing behind the truck of the fire service vehicle, and the third explosion or the second explosion occurred. That's where he also went off. So it has destroyed a lot of houses. The regional minister has been there. But, the major concern over the years has been the sale of mining explosives within the town. In fact, some residents have told me that they have, over the years, complained about the dangers of selling these explosives, especially within where people are a bit congested. Yet nothing has been done to address their concern, only to wait for this tragic incident to happen. Now, the Ashanti Regional Minister came there. He said it is illegal for people to sell these kind of explosives in the open, and he has directed the security to tour other mining communities and make sure that no one is selling such explosives in the open, because there are rules and regulations governing the selling of these dynamites, and people will have to abide by it if you indeed want to engage in the sale of these explosives. For now, no arrest has been made, but the police has begun investigation and they are trying to trace down the persons whose shops caused this massive explosion.
I see, and we understand as well that the death toll as a result of this has risen to 3, correct?
Well, yes, 3. In fact, there are 2 other people who are in a very critical condition when we went to the hospital. When we got there, 5 were on admission, and the doctors told us they've been able to stabilize them, but 3 are likely to be discharged by the close of the today. But the 2, looking at their condition, they will have to be referred to the Komfo Teaching Hospital for further treatment. In fact, one of them was just lying down, couldn't do anything, and you could see that half of the body is bent, and some pellets of the explosives, you could visibly see them on his body, and he is in a very critical condition, and they are hoping that he even survives the day.
I see, but how about the residents as well, that especially those who have lost? Give us an idea of the extent of destruction of this fire, at least with what you have seen there on the ground.
Well, so, Alfred, at least 30 houses, those are the houses that I counted, were severely damaged. Some of the houses, you could see deep cracks on them, signaling that the building is very weak and has to be pulled down. Others too, the entire roofing was torn off, together with the ceiling. Everything has been taken apart. So it was just like the PAT scene, but this time around, this is a bit less compared to that of the PAT. So all the 30 houses have been affected, together with about 8 shops that were around. In fact, yesterday when the fire was at its peak, the entire community had to leave the place. They had to run because there is this gas station not far from the scene of incident, and people fear that the fire may even get to that side and the explosion will be huge. But fortunately, the fire service personnel managed to contain that situation, even though they have also reported that 5 of their men sustained various degrees of injury, and they are currently receiving treatment at the hospital.
I say, and I was just coming to that because when we spoke to the fire service last night, they had indicated that the only fire tender they have in the area broke down, and the fire service officer who was driving that one as well, that fire tender collapsed. Any update on this?
Well, for now, the information we are having that he gained conscious and they are still treating him. You know, Konongo's fire tender has broken down just like they said. So usually when there is a fire incident at Konongo, fire tender had to come all the way from Ejusu to Konongo, which is about 40 minutes drive. So usually when incident of such nature happens, the tender arrives there a bit late because of where it's coming from. But yesterday we were told that even when the fire tender got there, some of the residents were angry and they were saying they arrived late and were even pelting stones at them. So that has been the situation in the area. The main fire tender at Konongo broke down some time back. So they are now relying on the fire tender at Ejusu, like I said, which is 40 minutes drive from Ejusu to Konongo.
Ibrahim, I appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Shanti regional correspondent. He's at the fire scene of this Konongo massive fire outbreak. We understand 3 persons have died as a result of this outbreak. A number of fire officers, 5 of them, have sustained various degrees of injury, together with some other residents of the area who are also receiving treatment at the Asante Achim Central Municipal Hospital. Health officials at the Asante Achim Central Municipal Hospital reported the condition of the injured. Dr. Kwesi Odro is in charge of the emergency unit at the municipal hospital, and he's been talking to my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar on this rather unfortunate development.
The level of injuries are multiple. There are different types, but we have superficial lacerations for some of them. Some had the blasting, the pellets sticking to their bodies. But these are all stable cases now. They are stable all right, but they will need referral to see specialists concerning their type of injury, but the rest will be discharged today.
Okay, so that's the officers there at the health unit and the Asante Achim Municipal Hospital, giving us details of what's been happening there. We'll keep an eye on this particular one, but let's still stay a bit further on this fire outbreak. And rather unfortunate, we're hearing as well that yesterday the driver of the fire tender that was to attend to this fire collapsed when they got to the fire scene and also sustained some injuries. We understand some fire officers have sustained some injuries as well as a result of this fire outbreak in Konongo Dumase. Alex Kenates, AD1 Alex Kenates with the Fire Service Public Relations Department is joining us on the telephone right now. Mr. Kenate, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition. First of all, are you able to tell us how many of your men were affected by the fire outbreak yesterday?
Okay, so hi Alfred, good evening. So about 5 of our personnel were affected, with the driver of the appliance being severely affected, collapsing at the scene and having to be rushed to the hospital. The other personnel who were sent to the hospital, thankfully, are recovering and have been discharged from the hospital, but then the driver is still on admission at the hospital.
So what's the extent of the injury of these 5 persons who were affected?
It's very the injuries vary. As a result of the explosion, it was able to push some people, on the ground. Some also hitting against the fire tender and other elements or items flying, through the air and hitting some of them. So it's a very degree of injury. But with the driver, I'm yet to confirm exactly what might have happened with his case, but then he collapsed, and so prompting the need for us to get another driver to man the fire tender to be able to help put the situation under control.
I see, but how about the fire tender as well, the one that broke down yesterday? Any update on that?
Okay, so with the fire tender that broke down yesterday, with the explosion that happened, the explosion caused some damage to the fire tender. So portions of the fire tender got damaged as a result of the explosion. But then again, the human action of the people who thought that the fire tender was being moved out of the scene, so out of agitation decided to pelt stones at the fire tender, also contributed in causing the overall damage to the fire tender. So for now, before this incident actually, the fire tender had been out of commission for months. So that's when there was fire at Konongo, the appliance had to move from Ejiso, and due to that, there were several attacks even because of that. And now that it's out of commission, we're able to assess the extent of damage and what it will take to fix it. So for now, maybe after that assessment, then I'll be able to get back to you on that.
I see. And Mr. Kenate, maybe quickly and finally before we go, with this development, as we're getting to know that the only fire tender in the Konongo Dumase area has broken down. Technically, what that means is that there's no fire tender as we speak in the area. What do you expect to be done immediately to address this? Because we understand that the possibility of another fire outbreak is really high because of the level of illegality in the area and the illegal sale of explosives in the area.
So I'll keep on saying that issues like this should be a wake-up call to all stakeholders and all the general public to see the need for an urgent retooling of the Ghana National Fire Service. This particular tender that we are talking about has been around since former President Rawlingson's time, well over 20 years old. It's a very old fire tender. A lot of work has been done, and it keeps breaking down. We keep fixing it. So we can fix it again, but for all you know, it might not really last for so long because the parts are very, very old. So the immediate things, I'm sure our leadership will be having a discussion about it. But for the meantime, if there's any fire within the Konongo area, their plans would have to come from Ejiso, and the people would have to be cautious. Their leadership or their opinion leaders would have to give them a stern warning for them to know that now you are living on borrowed tender that's coming from Ejiso. And already the people from Ejiso had already attended to fires at Konongo when the Konongo tender was out of commission and they were attacked. So they should be careful because then you can be able to come up with another fire tender. But if they don't change their attitude of attacking firefighters, then it means that the response time or the response from the fire service, we cannot be blamed for any action that will be taken because it's becoming unbecoming.
Thank you. Alex Kenate, thank you for your time to joining us. He is with the Public Relations of the Ghana National Fire Service, ADO1, Alex Kenate there. Now, from one disaster to another, what we do know is that President John Dramani Mahama has traveled to the Volta region to assess the impact of the recent tidal waves that have displaced residents and destroyed properties in several coastal communities. His visit follows Ghana's Independence Day celebration on March 6th today, where he reaffirmed his administration's commitment to national development and resilience against environmental challenges. Leaving directly from the Independence Day event, the president is expected to meet affected residents, inspect the damage, and coordinate immediate relief for them as well. Tidal waves, as we do know, which struck coastal areas of the Volta region, has left hundreds of persons homeless and caused extensive damage to homes, fishing boats, and farmlands. Communities such as Keta, Angloka, and Jita have been among the hardest hit, with residents calling for swift government intervention. Let's go into the telephone lines now, and Faisal Abdul Idris is a man on the ground, is moving every step of the way with the president. And Faisal, it's good to have you join us. What is happening exactly where you are?
Also, the president just departed Agaveji, where he had a community engagement with the chiefs and the affected residents. You would remember that the communities that are affected are Agaveji, Salakofa, and Amutino. When he arrived, the first thing he did was to visit the Ghana Gas project that we've been talking about lately, to assess the state of that, the state of the project, and then moved to the Agaveji Community Center, where he met the chiefs and the affected residents. The first thing he did was to tell them and sympathize with them, and to assure them that government has taken note of the plight facing them currently, and the government is committed to ensuring that this is giving a lasting solution so that in the future these communities will be protected against sea destruction. The most important thing is for him to state to the residents here that he would make sure that funding for a sea defense project, that is phase 2 of the Blakusu through Agaveji, Salakofa, Mutino, all the way to Aflao sea defense wall, will be captured in the national budget to be presented in the coming days in Parliament. He also assured the resident that while at it and ensuring that the sea defense wall is built, he would make sure that a decent accommodation is provided for the affected resident. He made comments on the ongoing Ghana Gas project, indicating that the project was not well thought through and that it wasn't even being executed well. And so he will ensure that his administration gives a proper and befitting accommodation to the affected residents. He talked about the fact that he knows that the local economy here has been crippled by the situation, and government will be taking steps to ensure that relief is brought to the affected residents here in Salakofe, Amutinu, and Agaveji.
Let's take a listen to the president now.
So I'm going to ask the finance minister to include funding to start phase 2 of the Blekuso Sea Defense Project. Before we came here, we went to the resettlement project that I believe or I've heard is being financed by Ghana Gas. I don't think the project was well thought through. The work is shoddy, and even the area where the resettlement is being built is a flood area, and so if it floods, it will affect those buildings too. And so those buildings are not fit for purpose. There are two things we need to do. Start the building of the phase 2 of the defense wall, but at the same time resettle those whose houses have been affected. And so we'll look for a more suitable site for the resettlement project. In the meantime, to alleviate the plight of those who have been affected, we brought some items to be distributed to those who have been displaced. Your MP is away on national assignment. As you know, we appointed her Minister of Tourism, and so she's away in Germany on an international assignment. Minister, I spoke to her this morning and I told her I was coming to her constituency. She's on her way back this weekend. So when she arrives, I expect that she'll sit with the chiefs and the assemblymen and decide on a formula how to distribute the food to those who have been affected by the tidal waves. The items are from 3 sources. One, our brother Governor Sakoja, who is our Minister of Roads and Transport, has donated 250 bags of rice. And for those of you who know, our mother comes from Denu, and so we're also part of you. And so my younger brother, who is the MD for Engineers and Planners, has also given 100,000 CDs. Ibrahim Mahama, 100,000 Ghana cedis, million, 1 billion, and then some items. This is additional to what they brought before. And so the NADMO director has the list. In the interest of transparency, I want everybody to know what is there, so that tomorrow.
So that's the president there. A detailed presentation there. But Faisal, where is his next destination?
Well, the president is departing from here back to Accra. But let me say that even before the president spoke, the chiefs and the assembly members had earlier indicated that his visit alone brought them some sort of relief and hope that government would, in the coming weeks and months, deliver them from the distraction that they face here. And so his visit to the residents that the affected persons here is just a way of showing commitment, and they welcome his visit here and expect that in the coming months they will see action here on the ground.
I see, but how about the sea defense that he spoke about? What's the latest to it?
Okay, so in 2015, the then government awarded contract for the construction of the phase 2 of the Blakusu through the affected communities that we are talking about today, all the way to what's the name, Aflau. That was supposed to be a 40 euro project, a 40 euro million project. So it started and got to some part of Agaveji, but stalled immediately. They exited the office. And so the indication we are getting is that the government that just exited could not get funding for the continuation of the project. What he's saying is that once that is included in the budget to be read in the coming days, government will find the money to ensure that work commences. He was not able to tell when and how soon they will be starting the work, but the indication he's given is that he's committed to ensuring that the continuation of the phase 2 starts and is executed to ensure that the communities here along the coast are protected.
Faisal, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Faisal Abdul Idris is our Volta regional correspondent there, giving us updates on the president's visit to the areas affected by the tidal waves. But before he left for the Volta region, President John Mahama urged Ghanaians to join forces with the government to undertake its programs aimed at transforming the economy. Addressing the 68th Independence Day event at the forecourt of the Jubilee House, President Mahama called on Ghanaians to support his policies.
Proclaiming self-reliance while marching straight back to the donors, into the hands of the donor agencies, begging bowl in hand, is really meaningless. To break this cycle of dependence and reset our economy, my administration is formulating policies based on fiscal discipline and living within our means. We're striving to expand our economy to yield prosperity for all. And to do this, we must look within and make sure that we are raising revenue domestically. This administration is working to implement the 24-hour economy program to ensure that our economy never goes to sleep. This will allow us to create the necessary job expansion, boost productivity, increase our exports capacity and trade footprint, and also reduce our dependence on foreign aid.
As a president there, he also called on residents in Boko and members of other communities which have been embroiled in protracted conflicts to give peace a chance.
My brothers and sisters, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah understood the essence of unity, not only in Ghana but on the entire African continent, when he said, and I quote, "The forces that unite us are inherently and far greater than the divisions imposed upon us." And the spirit of unity and brotherhood that this independence represents, I wish to speak directly to you, my brothers and sisters, in Boko and everywhere in our land where conflict is raging. I do not speak as president, but as your son and brother, in whose hands you have entrusted a solemn duty. The people of Boko and other areas, it is time for lasting peace to prevail. Our children deserve to inherit a peaceful land where their dreams are nurtured, not where their nightmares are relived. They deserve to inherit a land where our markets are bustling with trade, not tension and conflict. They deserve to inherit schools that echo with learning and not melancholy. Let us not be swayed by division, mistrust, and the weight of past injuries. Let us give renewal of friendship a chance. Let us give peace a chance. This is not an invitation to simply forget the past. Far from it. It is an invitation to live above it.
And this year's commemoration has been scaled down significantly, with the national event restricted at the Jubilee House, the seat of government, a move the president said is a cost-saving measure.
By reducing the scale of the event, we wish to demonstrate a commitment to fiscal responsibility and the efficient use of our limited resources. Fiscal prudence has become imperative for navigating the severe economic crisis that has recently confronted our country. The state spent 15 million Ghana cedis on last year's celebration in Koforidua and spent 13.7 million cedis on the previous year's celebration in Ho in the Volta region. This year, we received estimates of at least 20 million Ghana cedis for holding the event at the Independence Square on the same scale as the previous years. In a year when we are calling on all to sacrifice, including workers who have graciously accepted a base pay adjustment far below the rate of inflation, it is unconscionable to spend that kind of money on a few hours of celebration. Today's event would save us 95% of the estimated cost of the event. Nonetheless, this scaled-down celebration does not diminish the importance and significance of this occasion in any way.
Sir President John Dramani Mahama there. Now there's some news just coming through here on Hot Edition, and there's massive shake-up at the Ghana Health Service following a major reassignment of some divisional directors at the service headquarters and some regional directors of the health service across the country. A notice copied to all divisional directors, Ghana Health Service headquarters, and all regional directors of health service, and cited by 3FM News, indicated that the decision forms part of efforts to strengthen quality health service delivery to facilitate the achievement of the objectives of the Ghana Health Service. The following directors have been reassigned with effect from 14th April 2025, and we have a copy of this statement that we'll put on the screen right now if you're following us on 3FM 927 on Facebook. These are the names of the directors who have been reassigned. That's Dr. Samuel Kwabena Boateng, and current position Upper East Region has been reassigned as Director of PPM-ED. Also, Dr. Kennedy Brightson, a medical superintendent at the Shai Osudoku Municipal Hospital, has been reassigned to the Acting Director, Family Health, and Dr. Abdullahi Abubakar, and Regional Director of Health Services in the Northern Region, has been reassigned as Director Special Duties at the headquarters. Dr. Alberta Ajabing Brechum Nyako Messes, as Director of the Ghana Health Service headquarters PPM-ED, has been reassigned to the Central Region. Dr. Marion Oko Owusu, Director of the Ghana Health Service headquarters, has been reassigned to the Bono East Region. Dr. Brahima Baba Abubakar, Regional Director of the Health Services in the Northeast Region, has been reassigned to the Upper East Region. Dr. Damien Pongoye, a Regional Director of Health Services in the Upper West Region, has been reassigned to the Eastern Region. Dr. Joseph Anna Immune Nwagi, a Regional Director of Health Services at the Savannah Region, has been reassigned to the Upper West Region. Dr. Emmanuel Achudodo, Regional Director of Health Services in the Ahafo Region, has been reassigned to the Volta Region. Dr. Akosia Owusu Sapon, Mrs. Regional Director of Health Service in the Greater Accra Region, has been reassigned to the Ahafo Region. Dr. Cresantos Kubio, Regional Director of Health Services in the Volta Region, has been reassigned to the Northern Region. Dr. Paulina Clara Apia, Regional Director of Health for the Bono East Region, has been reassigned to the Western North Region. Dr. Godfred Kwabena Sapong, Regional Director of Health Services in the Western North Region, has been reassigned to the Northeast Region. Dr. John Eko Otu, who is the Regional Director of Health Service at the Ghana Health Service headquarters, has been reassigned to the Savannah Region. Dr. Robert Amesia, Medical Director, Upper West Regional Hospital, has been reassigned as Acting Regional Director, Greater Accra Region. So that is the information that we're getting right now. And Dr. Damien Pongoye will take over as the Regional Director of Health Service for the Eastern Region when Dr. Winfred Komla of Fosu proceeds on compulsory retirement in the course of the year. And the reassignment is based on the exigencies of the service and the need to strategically position the service to deliver on its mandate and improve operational effectiveness and efficiency. Now, this, according to the statement, reassignment took into account the strengths and unique skills of the directors so affected. Now, all reassigned directors are requested to fully participate in the annual performance review meetings of the new divisional and regional services as part of the protocols of the service. So that's information coming through from the Ghana Health Service right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, currently, Ghana is amongst 7 African countries implementing the Food System Resilience Program with a financing envelope of over $1 billion by the World Bank. With over 2.3 million beneficiaries, a support mission for regional institutions of the program convened technical experts and stakeholders to review the progress of the initiative. Akrofi has more in this report.
Key components of the Food System Resilience Program include upgrading food crisis prevention and monitoring systems, adopting innovations and technologies for food resilience, and facilitate trade across corridors and strengthen food reserve system.
We are hoping that, under the current administration, they will continue this resilience building aspect, which also comes with, bringing in climate smart technologies, bringing in biochar, targeted fertilizer. You don't just do blanket, applications of fertilizer. You utilize technology, transplanters, all these things that would benefit farmers a lot more.
Designed during the COVID-19 era, the program seeks to prevent food crises within the African continent while tackling climate change. The Director of Agriculture and Rural Development at ECOWAS, Alansai Traore, said that through the program, 200 new technologies have been developed for an effective irrigation management as well as boost crop production.
We see technology, for example, seed varieties that can be shorter in terms of duration in the production and that can be more updated to the drought or to the severe climate issues, or also resistant to some diseases that are appearing now because of the climate change. So these are some of the milestones that we can account currently.
Adopting small-scale irrigation technologies as part of climate-smart agriculture strategies allows for crop production stability. According to the technical advisor to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. Kwesi Etu-Bondi, irrigation, a crucial element of the program, is a powerful climate adaptation strategy transforming agriculture in Ghana.
Looking at now the erratic nature of the rain, they are focused on irrigation, where they are developing lands for farmers to go in. And it's not just only land clearing, it's issue of irrigation. They've added the water, the canal to it, so that any farmer, when you go there and get a piece of land, you don't depend solely on the rain.
2024 Food Security Monitor shows that the number of people with insufficient food for consumption across selected 7 West African countries had gone up by 7.6 million, driven by a rise in Ghana, Nigeria and Togo.
As Akrofi there. Before we go, and the matters of the Independence Day in Ghana, it's a day that has long been marked by grand parades, patriotic songs, and a sea of red, gold, and green flooding the streets. But this year, Accra feels different. The usual crowds are missing. The iconic Black Star Square, once the epicenter of celebration, stands quiet, leaving some Ghanaians unhappy about the 68th Independence Day anniversary. Gordon Asideba has more in this.
It's Independence Day in Ghana. Usually, the streets of Accra are filled with excitement, drums, laughter, and a sea of national colors. But today, the city feels different. The usual energy is missing.
I am standing here right on top of the Independence Arch in Accra, a place that's usually alive with parades, drums, and happy voices. But listen, It's quiet, too quiet. For the first time in years, there are no parades, no kids marching, no flags waving, no music filling the air.
I spoke with Nathaniel Nate Kofina, an elderly man who remembers Ghana's early Independence Day celebrations. He reminisced about the preparations. Now he says the silence feels like the country has forgotten something important.
We were expecting here to be today, to be a 6 match here, but now they have taken to different place. So we don't know what time is it. Even the King Palace itself, they have nothing is going on.
Still, a few individuals have gathered at the square, not for the traditional celebration, but to create content for the day's commemoration. Some are unhappy that this year's celebration has been scaled down to a single event at the Jubilee House.
For me particularly, I don't feel okay because when I was young, we used to go for Sith match and I'm always happy and excited because you get new outfits and new uniform, so it's a memory that you remember a lot of things.
But for Robert Quay, he believes the decision is a step in the right direction.
As a concerned Ghanaian, for me, I think it's in the right direction since we want to economize and then cut certain things short for ourselves because we don't have enough in our coffers.
But for Bernard Kwame Tete, a photographer who has worked at the square for the past 20 years, this day is usually one of the busiest. Each year